Hey guys, my name is Russell Lozon and welcome to my cabin walkthrough. Yep, this is my cabin, purchased in September 2015. We're on 180 acres of land, approximately 45 minutes to an hour north of Belleville, Ontario, not far from Madoc. Everything you see here in this video, all this property is owned by me and my wife. And it might be interesting to note that everything you see in terms of the cabin or all the materials here were all brought in by that ATV right there. Well, except for these two goofs. They came in under their own power. Easy. So we got a lot of freezing rain last night and it's very slippery out here. It's very treacherous. We're gonna go for a walk, but it's just too dangerous. So I've been keeping the dogs inside. So now the cabin's not finished at this point. We're in the beginning of February, and I have a lot more I need to do. I've got more materials under the snow here. You can just see the soffits there. I got more lumber under there. I've got the vinyl siding under there, and more plywood over here. And I will get to that eventually. Right now, the cabin's in a state where I can live in it very comfortably. So it's at this point that I can kind of take my time and finish things the way I'd like. You know, and just chill if I want to, as opposed to last year where it was all rush getting things done. So this is my ATV. It's a Can-Am 800R Outlander. It's a beast. Fantastic machine. It's done everything I've asked it to. I put the chains on just a couple of days ago to get in here, but it was still pretty rough going. My trailer, of course, bought from Princess Auto. The second one I'm on. The first one's just completely destroyed. And I built the wooden box on top of it, of course. But it's done its job as well. It's a bit windy here today. I gotta be careful things don't blow away. In fact, I lost my barbecue cover overnight. It was really windy, so I gotta go find it. Anyway, this is my shelter over here. It's essentially a carport. It's an expensive one. It's got a 15-year warranty on it, and it is a bit of a mess. I have this constant challenge of organizing. But this is, I actually lived in here for quite some time. Last summer I made a little bed, single bed, and I slept here. I had my little table for doing dishes and cooking and stuff. A little butane stove for cooking. And yeah, this was my home for a while. Not that great in bug season because bugs could just get in here and just have their way with me. But I was very thankful to move inside when I did. So the cabin itself is sitting on 16 piers, 12-inch sonotubes. 15 of the 16 are sitting on bedrock. One of them is sitting on earth because I dug down 3.5 feet and couldn't find the bedrock. And oddly enough, it's one of the ones in the middle. So there you go. I guess you're wondering why we call this Raspberry Rock. Which is our name for this property. It's because it's nothing but bedrock and raspberries, black raspberries, oddly enough. There's another shot of my shelter from the other side. It's just there for keeping tools and storage and for keeping my mess. Over there you might see a little spot that I visit fairly often. Yeah. Careful, girls. So I have better pictures of my cabin from the outside that I'll probably take from other videos. This is my view from my deck. So this is my deck. It's about 200 square foot deck. The cabin itself is 600 square feet with a grand total of 800 square feet. And that's what my building permit says. So good. Junebug, careful. She went after a piece of ice earlier and she went right down that hill. Yeah, so it's a beautiful view right in the middle there. Those sticks sticking out, that's a beaver lodge. There are 4 dams on this pond. One straight ahead over there, one over there, one just in that little inlet that you can't quite see, and there's a great big one over here. It's got to be 15-20 feet high. Come on, Junebug. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Maybe. Dig in those nails. You get the right idea. You should see this dog jump. This dog can jump right up on this deck from a standstill like nothing, with room to spare. There's some extra cut pieces I sometimes use for kindling. Anyway, let's go inside. Come on, girls. Most of the work I've done here myself. I did have help with the subfloor. Some friends came by, and then I had some help with the roof, which was fantastic, because I would have really struggled with the roof by myself. I did have to finish it though. They got about halfway done. Come on in, Junebug. Come on. There's my two dogs. Junebug is a smaller one, 6-month-old black lab coonhound mix, and Willow is the 2-year-old German Shepherd, all black. So this is my cabin. So that over there is eventually going to be a washroom, and I'll show you a little more detail on that in a bit. Over here we have the kitchen, and then a sliding glass door out into the deck, and then dining area right in that corner, right where the two windows are. And then this would be, I guess, a living area, with a focal point being the wood stove. Yeah, nothing going right now. It's not that cold out, and I've just let the fire go out. Now the windows that you see, there are 6 of these windows that are this size. They're 4 feet by 4 feet exactly, and then I have 4 windows that are smaller. This is a 2 foot by 3 foot. Both of those are 2 foot by 3 foot in the bathroom. And then up above, I have a window at each side of the house. There's a loft up there, and I'll show you in a second. That's our bedroom. So this is the bathroom. We already have a vanity. Can't be used yet. It's not plumbed. There's no plumbing. Eventually there's going to be a wall here. I'm going to wall it in and actually make a bathroom, so if you're in here you can have some privacy. The shower is just a cheap one we bought from Home Depot. In fact, it's their cheapest one. Also their smallest one. It's an insert, and it's tiny. I mean, you kind of look at it and say, oh, that's plenty big enough. But you get in there, and my shoulders are like an inch from the from both sides. I should mention that a lot of the things in here are just temporary placement, because obviously I haven't done the walls yet or the floor, so everything will have to be moved. My shower system is very simply, I add hot water to that jug. I put a couple of marks on there to say, you should be finished rinsing by here, you should be finished, soaping by here, and when you're here you get low. And then if my wife is having a shower, if she does her hair, she needs extra water, so I'll have another one of those jugs handy just in case she needs it. A little solar light we put there just for a little lighting. And of course we use camp soap everywhere for washing dishes or showering or whatever. The plumbing is pretty simple. It goes straight through the floor, and at the moment it just goes into a bucket, but I will eventually add some piping to go to a French drain. I am actually allowed to do that in this area. So over here is eventually where we'll have a toilet, probably just a sawdust toilet or a composting toilet of some kind. Right now we're just doing it out in the bush. We've got a couple of items all set for the bathroom, the lighting, and there's a mirror under there as well. The hood for my stove, I'm not actually sure I'll put it in, but it came with the stove, so I'm going to think about using it. Of course, I'm bringing in all my water here. We don't drink water right out of the pond because of the beavers, beaver bacteria, Giardia, and I forget what the other one is called. We could boil it, but for right now we're just hauling it in. So this is the kitchen. Countertop, again, bought at Home Depot. There's nothing special about it. It's just a cheap one. And I put up some 2x4 frame just to keep it in place. Stainless steel sink. Again, we bought it new. Some things I'll use. I'm fine with taking used. A sink isn't one of them. I want it brand new. Here's my dirty dishes from this morning. Yeah, still got to do some cleanup. The fridge is pretty simple. Don't use it in the wintertime because obviously we can just put stuff outside. It is used, and I wanted something that's had a separate freezer, which this thing did. But in the summertime, that'll just run off the solar power system. This is nothing right now. This is just a part of a countertop sitting on top of a blue bin. I'm not really using it. And then this drawer system with these cabinets I bought together, used. And right now there's mostly just dried stuff. So there's some canned stuff that I've left here, and I'll have to check before I use them to make sure the seals aren't broken on them. I should probably take those home, but because they condensate when the cabin warps up and leave a mess. And then this one is mostly for dishes and some snacks up there and some other utility stuff. And there's my olive oil. It's finally turned to liquid again. So, and I can run a toaster. I can run a coffee maker if I wanted to off the solar power system. The batteries are more than capable of doing it. My inverter is more than capable of doing it. But I'm going to talk more about my solar power system in another video. This is a propane stove I bought off of Kijiji. Again, it's used. Great shape. I think it was $250. And it's kind of nice, even though you can plug it into the wall, the burners don't use any electricity. Well, except to start them, because when you go to, you can go to here, and that little spark, and then it lights, which is pretty cool. But you don't need that. If it was unplugged, I can just light it with a match. Now the oven, on the other hand, will not run without electricity. It takes about 300 watts when it's running for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe there's a fan going, or who knows. And of course, there's a propane tank. Eventually I'm going to put that outside and run the hose. I got a big, long, I think it's a 20-foot hose, so that I can put it under the deck. And of course, that hose was $190, almost as expensive as the stove itself. Just some quick shelving. I don't know if this is going to stay here, but I needed a spot to put stuff. Yeah, there's all my alcohol. We have fun here. Yeah, there's a huge mess in the middle of this room, and eventually I will clean it up, I promise. Right now the kitchen, like the shower, just goes into a bucket underneath the sink. Eventually I will put piping in so it'll go through the floor and join up with the shower and the sink in the bathroom, and then go to the French drain. There's some extra tubs that I use, and there's even a microwave under there that can be used. My inverter is a 5,000 watt inverter, so it can handle a lot, everything we pump at it. My electrical system is pretty simple in here at the moment. So I've got one line coming in from the inverter. I believe that one's it. I've got one line coming in, one line going out. So the whole thing is run off of the inverter, as I said, and I've only got 4 circuits in use. One goes to the kitchen, one goes to the living room, one of them goes straight outside because I wanted to mount an outlet there, and then one goes to the other side of the house. And it's pretty simple. So you can see the wiring coming out. There's a light switch right there for this light up here. Oops, that light. And then I've just got to run some wiring over to there. It comes down to an outlet on the side, and then goes up into the bedroom for a little bit of lighting. I do eventually need to put a lot more outlets in on that side of the room, over there in the bathroom. I've got an outlet there behind the countertop, and I've got one down there for the microwave and for the stove. But I also have to run something up into that bedroom up there as well. Since we're looking up here, these lights in the kitchen, which are amazingly bright, those are 9 watt LEDs in each one. So the whole thing, those 3 lights are only drawing 27 watts right now, which is pretty neat. And I've mounted them in cardboard again because eventually I have to do that sealing, and I have to mount those properly. But for right now, they're just sitting in cardboard, and they work great. They're so bright. I'm so happy though. I'm so pleased. You can see the 12-volt inverter that they use. Well, you would call it a power supply, I guess. Why do I have cement board over there? Well, it was to go behind the stove, but I've got such fantastic clearance over here that I don't need them. I would like to eventually put some kind of nice brick behind them so it actually kind of looks cool. So I may do that. The stove itself I bought for $50 from my friend Pee Wee over at the 5-star camp. It was funny because I needed a wood stove, and I was looking on Kijiji for one, and it was probably the first time I talked to him. I told him I was building a cabin, and he said, "Do you need a wood stove?" And I said, "Yeah." My only criteria was that it had a glass door, because I love looking at the fire. And I asked him how much you want for it, and he said, "How's $50?" And I said, "Sold. Done." Now here's a mistake I've made. This stovepipe going up is a double-walled stovepipe, and I thought, just for safety, just because I'd get that. But I totally underestimated how much I would need the heat off of that stovepipe, because I don't get enough, and it takes a while to heat up the cabin. Anyway, I could replace that at some point. I did all this work myself. It's a pain in the butt, to be honest. So back to the dining room. So we wanted to be able to sit here and look out the windows and see the beautiful surroundings, across the beaver pond and stuff. So that's why the table is jammed in there like that, and extra chairs and stuff. So our living space, very simple, sofa, and then this is a chaise, and then another chair, and a stool, and that pot we fill up with water. We put it on the wood stove, and we have hot water on demand, pretty much. And eventually, I need to build a wood box over here to put my firewood in. Right now, it's just a mess, of course, like everything else. And there you have it. So eventually I want to make stairs going up to the loft. For right now, it's just a ladder. I'll take you up and show you. So this is our loft area. Originally it was supposed to be bedrooms on both sides and then ladders up to each side. This space in the middle is going to be open from side to side. But I put this plywood here when we're doing the roof. And it's just so handy, and I think I will, even when I take this plywood out, I'll have a walkway across here with banisters and stuff. Anyway, there's our bedroom. It's a full queen-size bed there. It's an Endy mattress. It's a memory foam. I sleep so well here. It's totally awesome. I just have to be careful, because you can see when I get out of bed there, there's very little room to change your clothes. And you get up and you've got a hangover or something, and it can be dangerous. So I'm going to put up a railing at some point. The 2x4s up there in the ceiling, those are for a laptop stand. I swing them down and I put this board on them, and I set my laptop up there, and then we can watch movies. And it's nice and it's comfortable. And we got that nice little window so we can see what it's doing outside. There's our pee bucket for in the middle of the night. You got to go pee, and you don't want to negotiate that ladder if you're half drunk, or just if you're half, asleep. So, yeah, that's pretty handy. Now on this side, we have, another mess, of course. There's the bed that I slept in the shelter. It's just a single. It was okay. It's comfortable, I guess. Not big enough for me. Not squishy enough for me, but better than sleeping on the floor. But eventually I clean this up, and I'll make it like a guest. We'll put a guest bed in here for anybody who wants to sleep. This is the what's going on with my solar power system. We got three sets of lines coming in, plus the ground. Ideally, these would be red and black and labeled properly. They are labeled, but I used what I had, and that was a lot of white wire. They're combined into one string that comes out here, these two lines, along with a copper, and they go through the rafters here down over to the wall over there, and then outside and down to where the charge controller and the inverter are. You also notice there's some insulation in here, not much. But this is insulation I had left over from doing the floor. I had 2 bags left, which is, I believe, 12 bats. I cut them in half and I stuffed them up here in the ceiling and then put the vapor barrier up. I was just trying to do anything I could to insulate the cabin and keep it warm when I had the fires going. One of the things I had to do right away, you'll see down there, the eaves were open for a while and it was impossible to warm up the place with the eaves open. Air just came right in or went right out. So I cut those 1-inch foam board pieces to size, jammed them in there, screwed them down into the double top plate, which is, I guess, a triple top plate. Oh, sorry, just a double. And then put expanding foam around them to seal them in. So that worked really well. Yep, there's some of my wife's contributions. You know, the wife has accepted the cabin when she starts decorating it. Haha. So that's the loft. So if you've stuck with me so far, I'll give you a few technical details. The cabin itself is 28 feet long and 20 feet wide, excuse me, for about 600 square feet. The deck is about 200 square feet. It's an 8-foot wide and 28 feet long. So the whole cabin is about 800 square feet. Under the floor here is insulation. That's one thing I wanted to do right up front. It's easier to do it before the plywood goes down rather than kind of come along afterwards and try and stick it up. And underneath the insulation is hardware cloth. It's kind of like a chicken wire. It's a 1/4-inch spacing on it so that the insulation just sits on it, and because it's open to the air, you know, it stays dry. What are you chewing on? These big I-beams are 20 feet long, and why I'm using them, and they were a real pain to bring in on the ATV, but why I'm using them is I didn't want any support beams in the middle of this cabin. I wanted it completely open. I want to have any posts coming out here for things to sit on. So I went and looked at these I-beams, and yes, you can span a 20-foot space with this style. And as I said, they were a pain to bring in. But no posts in the middle of my cabin, completely wide open. And that's the way I wanted it. The view from my deck is simply incredible. I call this the deck of knowledge, because this is where we sit and drink and solve the world's problems. A wonderful barbecue. Some food out here. There's a door that I plan to use for my bathroom. Some ice in the process. Not too bad today. It is hovering around 0, maybe -0.5. So about 32 Fahrenheit. The guts of my solar power system. Right now we're producing 6.5 amps, which is great. Output voltage of 55.1. So it's converting, you know, each string is about 90 volts, and it takes that down. It's a smart charge controller, so it takes that down to 65 volts at 5.7 amps, converts it to 55.1 volts, 6.7 amps, you know, to put into the batteries. This is my inverter, which is also a charge controller, but I'll talk more about why I do the way these things the way I do in a future video. Right now I just want to check the voltage, and we're running at 54.7, which seems fantastic. Under here is my batteries. I'll just try and quickly show you. And there we are, we're all wired up, insulated and stuff. So on a day like today, it's perfect for charging batteries, for charging cell phones. I'm doing whatever I need to do. I could run a laundry machine today if I wanted to. I wouldn't run anything like a dryer. That would not make sense, and they require a lot of electricity. But I'd throw up a clothesline if I wanted to. Yep. So this beaver pond stretches out and goes all the way down there. Pretty cool. So we're a bit of a horseshoe here. This is the tree that I plan on cutting off all the lower branches on so that we can have a view of what's over there. We're calling that Inukshuk Point because we built an Inukshuk over there. And I found out yesterday that it had fallen down, so we got to rebuild that sometime. This is my enormous elk antler that I found, which is pretty cool. I'm going to clean it up a little bit and then hang it inside. Anyway, thanks for coming with me on our cabin walkthrough tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I will try my best to answer them. If you like this video, Junebug says, if you like this video, please give it a like. Yes, so what does it have? Oh, I'll give it a like. I'll give it a like. Sure, I'll do it. Yeah, we'll see you next time at Raspberry Rock.